The Bridge of Words. Ria stood at the balcony of her small room, watching the morning sun rise above her neighborhood. She had always loved mornings, but today felt different. She was nervous. In a week, she was supposed to give her first presentation at her new company, and it had to be in English. Until now, she had managed with short sentences, polite nods, and a shy smile. But a full presentation? The thought felt frightening. Her childhood had been rooted in a Hindi medium school. English was taught, but never practiced, only memorized. She had always believed that English belonged to other people who grew up abroad, people who studied in big schools, people who had confidence. But someone like her? Number. She felt like she was standing on one side of a long bridge, watching fluent speakers on the other side. Still, she knew life offered no shortcuts. She needed to cross that bridge. That day, after work, she stopped by a bookstore. She browsed shelves filled with thick grammar books, shiny guides, and bestsellers promising fluent English in 30 days. She wasn't sure what to pick. Finally, an old man at the counter noticed her confusion. "Learning English?" he asked kindly. Ria nodded. He handed her a thin novel. "Start with stories. Language is a friend, not a test." She thanked him and walked out, holding the book like a treasure. That evening, she began reading. At first, she stumbled. She read each sentence slowly, often confused. She turned to online translations, searching meanings. Sometimes she reread pages. But gradually, she noticed she was understanding without checking every word. The characters felt real. Their dialogues became a part of her thoughts. Soon she began whispering English sentences to herself. Simple things. "I'm cooking dinner. I'm reading a book. I'm going out." It felt silly, but she continued. She replaced silence with English. The next day at work, her colleague Arav asked, "You okay? You look thoughtful." She hesitated, but replied, "Yes, I'm trying to, improve my English." Arav smiled. "That's great. Want to practice during lunch?" Ria's eyes widened. "You mean talk in English?" "Well, unless you want to practice Russian," he joked. Ria laughed, and her anxiety softened. Each afternoon, they sat in a quiet corner and spoke. Sometimes she searched for words, sometimes she made mistakes, but she always tried. Arav corrected her gently. One day he told her, "Don't fear mistakes. A mistake means you're learning something new." She remembered those words whenever she felt stuck. Evenings became her learning time. She set a simple routine: listen, speak, read, write. She listened to English podcasts while cooking. She watched short English videos and repeated lines. She practiced speaking aloud when alone, narrating her actions like a storyteller. She kept a small notebook where she wrote new words daily. A week before the presentation, she joined a public speaking group online. People from different cities met virtually and practiced English together. On her first day, she trembled as she introduced herself. "Hello, my name is Ria. I'm learning English." Her voice shook, but the group clapped warmly, and a woman said, "We were just like you once. Welcome." That acceptance changed everything, not because her English improved instantly, but because her fear shrank. Every day she practiced her presentation, little by little. She wrote sentences, refined them, then rewrote them. She stood before the mirror, speaking to her reflection. At first her voice cracked, then it steadied. Her confidence grew. Some days were harder, Sometimes she forgot words. Sometimes she felt she was improving too slowly. Once, she sat at her desk late at night, frustrated. "Why can't I do this?" she whispered. Her mother, who had been listening quietly, walked over. She placed a cup of warm milk beside her. "You learned how to walk by falling," her mother said. "Words are the same. Fall, get up. Learn." Raya nodded, strength returning to her eyes. Finally, presentation day arrived. She stood in the conference room, facing her team. Her heart pounded. Her palms sweated. She took a breath. "Good morning, everyone," she began. Her voice was steady, though her hands trembled. She introduced her topic and continued. Once she lost track of a sentence, but she calmly repeated it another way. She remembered what she practiced. It's okay not to be perfect. Her message mattered more than her accent or speed. By the end, the room was quiet, and then applause filled the space. Her manager stood up, impressed. "Fantastic job, Rhea. Clear, thoughtful, confident." She smiled, relief rushing through her. She'd crossed the bridge. After the meeting, Arav gave her a thumbs up. "See? You did it," she replied. "I did it, but I'm still learning." "That's the best part," he said. "We never stop learning." From that day, English became her companion, not a fear. She kept reading, speaking, watching, and listening. Soon she joined storytelling groups. She even helped newcomers who felt shy, reminding them that English wasn't a wall, but a door. She realized something powerful. English isn't about perfection. It's about connection. It's about expressing your heart in another language. It's about stepping into new worlds. She hoped that one day, people who felt afraid to speak would hear her story and take their first step. Because every bridge begins with one foot forward, and with each word, each conversation, each story, you walk farther. Rhea learned that English is not just a language, it is confidence, opportunity, and a journey. And every journey begins with a single word. Hello. The Little Blue Notebook. When Kabir moved from his hometown to the city for a new job, everything felt bigger. Buildings, buses, people. But what felt the biggest was English. He could read it a little and write it slowly. But speaking? That felt like climbing a mountain with no shoes. His workplace was lively, filled with friendly professionals. They welcomed him, but conversations happened quickly and always in English. Kabir tried to listen and failed. Words slipped past him, blending into a blur. He smiled often, nodded politely, laughed when others laughed, hoping it matched the joke. Inside, he felt lost. One evening, his team gathered for a meeting. The manager explained a project, assigning tasks one by one. When it was Kabir's turn, she asked, "Could you share your approach?" His throat tightened. He tried to speak, but the sentence came out broken and soft. People stared, waiting. His cheeks burned. Someone gently rephrased his words for the group, and the meeting continued. Kabir sat quietly, wishing he could disappear. That day, while walking home, he stopped at a small stationery shop. A little blue notebook caught his eye. Simple cover, soft pages. He bought it without knowing why. That night, he stared at the notebook. He wrote one sentence on the first page. "I will learn to speak English." The next morning, he carried the notebook to work. Every time he heard a new word, collaboration, deadline, prototype, he wrote it down. In the evenings, he searched meanings online and practiced sentences. At first he felt clumsy, like a child learning to walk. But he kept going. Soon he had a routine. He wrote 10 new words every day, learned their meanings, and tried using them in sentences. At work, instead of nodding silently, he began asking short questions. Can you repeat? What does that mean? Is this correct? People helped, surprised but supportive. One afternoon, during lunch, his colleague Zara said, "You're learning fast." Kabir shook his head. "Still difficult." "Of course," she said. "Speaking is like running. First walk. You're walking well." Her words gave him hope. In the following weeks, he started practicing at home. He read English comics aloud, watched English videos with subtitles and repeated lines. He talked to himself while cooking. "I am cutting tomatoes. I will make tea." He felt silly sometimes, but he continued. The little blue notebook grew thicker with words, expressions, and simple sentences. Take initiative. On-site visit. Final submission. One day, he came across a quote online. Language is not about perfection. It's about expression. He wrote it on the notebook's back cover. Slowly, his confidence spread. In office meetings, he began giving small updates. "My task is done. I will send by evening." His voice was quiet but steady. His manager noticed. "You've improved a lot," she told him one day. Kabir smiled shyly. "I'm trying." "You're succeeding," she replied. Months passed, bringing a new project, a big one. The company planned a presentation for an international client. Kabir was assigned as co-presenter. He panicked. Presenting in English felt impossible. That evening, he sat alone with his notebook. He flipped through pages filled with his journey, words, phrases, mistakes corrected, sentences rewritten. He felt a strange strength. He decided to try. He practiced every night, speaking to his reflection, imagining the clients listening. Sometimes he tripped on words. Sometimes he forgot lines, but he always returned to the notebook. One weekend, Kabir visited a park. Children played, old people walked, vendors called out chaotically. He sat on a bench with his notebook, reading aloud. An elderly man nearby watched. "You're preparing for something?" the man asked. Kabir nodded. "Presentation." In English, the man smiled. "I was a teacher." Shomi Kabir hesitated but began speaking. The old man listened carefully, then corrected his pronunciation here and there. "Relax your shoulders," he said. "Language flows better when the body is calm." They met again the next weekend. The man taught him simple speaking exercises, breathing, sentence stress, natural rhythm. Each time, Kabir felt his voice become stronger, steadier. The day of the presentation arrived. Kabir stood beside his manager, facing people from across the world on a video call. His hands trembled. His notebook sat on the table, open to his notes. His turn came. He took a deep breath and began. "Good afternoon. My name is Kabir, and I will explain our design approach." He spoke slowly, choosing his words carefully. When he stumbled, he paused and continued. He explained points clearly, his voice calm. The clients nodded, asked questions, and he answered simply but confidently. The presentation ended successfully. After the call, the room filled with smiles. "You were great," Zara said. Kabir laughed softly. "I was afraid." "Everyone is," she replied. "But you crossed the fear." That evening, he walked home with light steps. He took out his little blue notebook and wrote, "I spoke English today." He closed the notebook and looked at the stars. He no longer felt the city was too big. He felt he belonged. The next day, he saw a new employee standing nervously, just like he once stood. The new guy avoided conversations, nodding silently. Kabir walked up to him and said gently, "If you need help with English, I can practice with you." The new employee's face brightened. "Really?" Kabir nodded. "I had help. Now it's my turn." They sat together at lunch, speaking slowly, laughing over mistakes. Kabir gave him a notebook. "Write new words here," he said. "It helps." The new guy smiled. "Thank you." Kabir felt something warm rise in his heart. The bridge he once crossed, he was helping someone else walk it. That night, he opened his blue notebook again. It was almost full. On the last page, he wrote, "English is not a language to fear. It's a bridge to people." He closed the book gently. It had changed his life, not because of the words written inside, but because of the courage they built. And now, he knew English wasn't just spoken with the tongue. It was spoken with confidence, practice, and heart. The cafe classroom. Ayan had always dreamed of traveling abroad, but whenever he imagined himself at an airport, he couldn't picture the conversations. English stood like a tall gatekeeper. He could read it decently, movies helped, but speaking was a different world. His words came out tangled, nervous, incomplete. After finishing college, he moved to a new city for his first job. The office was friendly, but meetings often shifted to English. When people spoke, he tried to follow, catching familiar words here and there. Still, he barely understood the complete picture. He laughed politely, but on the inside, his mind raced. He wished someone would slow down, repeat, or explain. Yet he feared asking. He didn't want to appear foolish. One rainy Saturday, he stepped into a small cafe near his apartment. The aroma of coffee mixed with soft music relaxed him. He sat near the window and opened his work notes. While reading, he overheard a group of people speaking in English, but not perfectly. Some paused, some searched for words, others corrected themselves. They were clearly learning. Ayan kept listening curiously. The group noticed and invited him to join. A woman named Lena, who seemed to lead the session, asked, "Would you like to practice English with us?" Ayan hesitated. His instinct said no, but something inside pushed. "Okay," he said quietly. They introduced themselves one by one. When his turn came, he said, "My name is Ayan. I want to speak English. Better." His voice shook, but they smiled warmly. "Welcome," said a man. "We all started like you." They played speaking games, describing pictures, telling simple stories, reacting to jokes. Ayan made mistakes, but no one laughed at him. He felt safe. At the end, Lena gave a small suggestion. Spend at least 10 minutes daily thinking in English. Everyday actions, describe them in your mind. Ayan thought about this on his way home. The next morning, as he brushed his teeth, he whispered, "I am brushing. Now I wash my face. Now I make breakfast." His sentences were broken, but they were English. At work, he tried speaking simple lines. "I will check and send. Can we discuss later?" Words flowed slowly, yet they flowed. His team appreciated his effort. Every Saturday, he returned to the cafe group. It became his routine. His classroom. One day, Lena gave everyone a challenge. Each person had to tell a 2-minute story. Ayan panicked. He didn't know what to say, but when his turn arrived, he took a deep breath and spoke about his first day in the city, how he got lost, how rain drenched him, how he found the cafe. He made mistakes, but the group listened. When he finished, they clapped. "Your storytelling is natural," someone said. He felt confidence grow like a small plant inside him. At home, he began watching English videos, short ones. He paused, repeated sentences, copied accents, and practiced aloud. He used English subtitles at first, then turned them off sometimes. He wrote daily, short paragraphs about his routine. He found joy in this process. Weeks passed. One afternoon, his manager asked him to assist in a client call. He froze. His mind whispered, "You can't do this." But then he remembered the cafe. He said yes. The day of the call, his heart pounded. The client spoke. Ayan listened carefully. When he answered, his voice trembled, but his sentences came out. Simple, but correct. "I understand. I will share the update tomorrow." The call ended, and his manager nodded proudly. "Good effort, Ayan." That evening, he went to the cafe. The group cheered, hearing about the call. Lena said, "Real growth begins when you speak even while afraid." Ayan held on to those words. The group soon decided to start a mini-drama activity, small role plays. They pretended to be travelers, shopkeepers, teachers. In one session, Ayan acted as a tour guide. He described places with excitement, invented stories, used expressions he never imagined he knew. Everyone laughed and clapped. For the first time, English felt fun. Not a subject, not a mountain, but a playground. One Saturday, a new member joined, Mehak. She was shy like Ayan had been. During introduction, she whispered, "My English is bad." Ayan smiled gently and said, "Mine was bad too. You just need to start." She relaxed. He taught her small tricks, thinking in English, using simple sentences, listening daily. Helping someone made him feel strong. Months passed. The little cafe group became like family. They celebrated each other's progress. Some got new jobs. Others gave first presentations. Even the cafe staff learned English words while serving tea. One day, the cafe owner approached Lena. "You've turned my cafe into a classroom. I want to help." He offered a board, markers, and a quiet corner where the group could meet. The cafe now had a small sign, "Cafe Classroom, everyone welcome." Visitors came curious, sat for a while, listened, and sometimes joined. Ayan kept improving. He joined book clubs, discussed ideas, wrote emails confidently, even presented small topics at work. Once during a meeting, an international visitor joined. Ayan offered help and guided him through the office, explaining things clearly. When the visitor said, "Your English is very good," Ayan smiled. He remembered the boy who once feared speaking. Now every Saturday, he watched new learners walk through the cafe door. Nervous faces, kind smiles, slow introductions. He would say, "We all learn here. No judgment." One evening, as the cafe lights dimmed and the group ended its session, Ayan took a moment to reflect. He pulled a small notebook from his bag and wrote, "I didn't learn English in a classroom. I learned it in a cafe, with courage, friends, and stories." The journey never truly ended. He still made mistakes. He still learned new words. But fear had dissolved. In its place lived curiosity, confidence, and joy. English, he realized, wasn't about sounding perfect or knowing every rule. It was about connection, about sharing thoughts, telling stories, helping strangers become friends. He once feared English like a tall gatekeeper. Now he saw it for what it truly was, a simple bridge from one heart to another.